Hi, this is Phil Potempa. Welcome to another edition of Notoriety. Each week we bring you all the ticket opportunities that's not to be missed. Everything happening in Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland and beyond. And of course, we couldn't be here without our generous underwriters and sponsors, the kind folks at People's Bank, the Indiana Arts Commission, Legacy Foundation, and most of all, for all of our viewers and listeners, we couldn't be here without you as we come to you from the WJOB, our JED TV Strachan Van Til Studios in Hammond, Indiana. Today's broadcast is stamped with May 29, 2025 is when it's being captured on this Thursday. In case it's a rebroadcast, you want to make sure that you mark your calendars and you're not confused with the information and content we're sharing with you today. Some of you have the added advantage of the studio cameras, so maybe you found us on a social media outlet or through streaming with JED TV. You can see everything that's happening in our studio with our guests. Others might be tuned in through our traditional radio airwaves. We're just so glad that you're joining us for our conversation today. And of course, our broadcast is the broadcast equivalent of all the columns and all of the stories you'll find in the Post-Tribune newspaper underneath the umbrella of Chicago Tribune Media. And you can always find everything captured at chicagotribune.com. Today, we're all about Rumors, at least the Neil Simon Broadway hit Rumors, which is just down the street from us at the legendary iconic venue space that is very, very intimate, but boy, do they keep busy there as well. Beatniks on Conkey, and Rumors, Neil Simon's, it's the comedy farce that's just going to be opening this coming weekend, so we're talking about May 30th, goes all the way until June the 8th, so you have a couple opportunities here. Friday performances at 7:30, and you've also got a 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon matinee. And joining us, our returning guest, Dean Johanson, correct? Is he one of the actors that's starring in it? And we also have with us the Johnsons. They're the directors, correct?
Correct.
And so just introduce yourselves and give us a little bit of your background with how long you've been with Beatniks and what your last other projects might have been there.
Okay, well, Beatniks is actually our theater, so we've been there since its conception.
Which is how long?
Which is 17 years. We're in our 18th year.
Wow, I can't believe
now.
18 years.
Yeah.
My goodness. I've been writing about it since the days of when I had my columns in the Hammond
Yes.
Times.
Right.
So you're always busy with a lot of different content and performances. They can be small things. It can be improv classes. It can be any number of opportunities.
Yep.
This time you're doing a bit of Broadway with a Neil Simon nod, right?
Yes,
Correct.
yes, we love Neil Simon, so this one's a good comedy for anyone to come to.
And
Although
a
there's
cast,
some language.
and a cast of how many people besides
10.
we have Dean there?
We have
10
10.
actors
10.
and actresses, yeah.
And if you've not been there, Beatniks is such a wonderful and inviting space. It's very intimate. When I say intimate, I'm going to guess seating-wise, used to be bleacher seats. I'm not sure if it's still the same format. 60 to 80 people, 100 people? Where are we at?
62 wonderful seats.
62 wonderful seats, so which is why it is so important. Get your tickets in advance instead of waiting. I've got a cheat sheet here. So you can always call 219-852-0848 or just visit beatniksconkey.com, which was so great. I was able to download the poster, which Joe, our producer, he'll float the poster across the screen, as well as a couple of the cast production shots. My co-host today, Luke Miller, is joining me, and he's done some of the research to talk a little bit about the production. There's our poster there. Go ahead, Luke, get us going with a couple questions.
So, I mean, like you said, Phil, by Neil Simon, and actually, when I was researching that, this was his first farce, correct? That this was his first foray into that, and that when he was in a little bit of a down period when he was first writing this, and that was what inspired him. It's that's the case, correct?
Yes, that's what I've heard. So I didn't actually research it,
Oh,
so
no.
I'm glad you did.
No, well, what had you picked this play then?
It's a wonderful farce comedy. There's so many. It's a great, quick-witted, fast-paced comedy, but it also has some real twists and turns. If you're paying attention, you'll see Neil Simon threw in wordplay, staging, different staging. You go in one door, come out another.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of a thing, which are physically impossible. But it's in the stage direction, and we thought that he was careful enough. We follow him religiously.
Yeah,
you
I
know.
would say you're
Yeah.
safe. You're safe
Yeah,
to
yeah.
follow his stage notes that are included in the script.
Yes.
Dean, how about the last time you've done a project that's a Neil Simon production?
I did Odd Couple a couple years ago at Cedar Lake.
That
But-
counts.
That counts.
That's a biggie.
But going back to rumors, we actually, during COVID, we got together a script reading committee, and Rumors was one of the scripts that we, read via Zoom, and I fell in love with it. So when I saw that Beatniks was going to put it on, I just had to audition.
And I'm going to take a quick moment here. Make sure our producer Joey, all the levels sounding okay for all of us. You can hear Luke, can hear everybody through Dean okay. Getting a thumbs up, very good. We had the auditions for this, a cast of 10. How long ago would you say? We're already into the end of May. You probably did the auditions when directors.
We did the auditions in March.
In
so
March,
we
okay.
try to give 8 weeks total time between shows because the rehearsal time ends up to be about 6 weeks by the time you get a cast.
Set
and
construction.
Set construction and everything.
All the
so,
aspects.
yeah.
And we were trying to think of some kind of a fun prop or something to bring. I brought an old-fashioned rotary telephone to have as
It's
the prop
complete-
here. And he said
completely
that fits.
appropriate, yeah.
So we're going to let our producer Joey, at some point during our next 15 minutes as we're chatting, hop on YouTube and find an old-fashioned rotary telephone ring and surprise us and have the telephone ring, okay? Give us some sound effect, like the
would be
old-time
great.
studios would do, exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody who wants to do the honors, give us the synopsis for Rumors. So those are folks who are thinking, gosh, the weekend I think it's still going to be kind of cold. Maybe it's a good chance to go out and see some theater. What would they be getting when they go to see Rumors as far as, without giving away too much? Who wants to do that?
Yeah. Well, at the start of the show, you learn that Deputy Mayor of New York City, Charles Brock, has been shot. And it's the evening of his 10th wedding anniversary. His wife is not available. She's not there. They can't find her. The first 2 guests arrive and discover Charlie up in his room shot. Blood everywhere. And as the evening ensues, mayhem comes to be. 4 couples and a couple of police actually show up somewhere along the way. So it's very quick-witted, quick farce.
And the
comedy.
running time, it should clock in at about what, including intermission?
2 hours.
2 hours. So
Yeah.
Almost
it moves-
exactly.
It moves quick. It does move quick. What's the last Neil Simon piece that you folks might have directed or produced there at Beatniks?
Probably also Odd Couple. I would say we've also been in Odd Couple before.
Oh, really?
And so, yes.
Were you one of the stewardess?
Yeah, I was one
That
of the
lives upstairs?
sisters.
The
Yes,
sisters.
I was one of the sisters along with Linda Slankard.
Oh,
And,
wow,
yeah.
that's fun.
And you did the female Odd Couple.
And we
female
also did the
version.
Right.
female
Oh,
Odd
yeah.
Couple, yes.
That's
at
what we did at
Beatniks.
Beatniks,
Yes.
Years ago, I saw the female version of the Odd Couple downtown Chicago. It might have been at the Apollo, but it was with Barbara Eden was one of the 2, and I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Rita McKenzie was the other one in it. So it's been a little while, but yeah. Neil Simon has got such a sharp wit, or sometimes it can be something that's very, very moving. Luke, did you see Marion Theater Guild's recent piece that was
Lost in Yonkers.
Lost in
you.
Yonkers?
Yep, they just
right?
did
Exactly.
it. Mhm.
Where it
Also Neil Simon,
It can
yeah.
have some edge to it. It can be a thinking piece,
Right.
but also a lot of clever wit. What is also
Always.
clever is how you use your stage space there at Beatniks. There is not a lot of storage backstage in the wings area.
no.
What you see is pretty much what you get, right?
Yeah.
We were lucky enough to get the unit to the east of the stage,
Oh.
and so we now have a real generous lobby area so that people can come for intermission. There's a nice place to mill around.
Oh,
and
that's
that.
nice.
So, yeah.
It used to be when you showed up, I mean, there was
You were
very
right
little
there.
standing area. You basically needed to usher everybody and get them right into
Yep.
that space.
Yep.
And is it still bleacher seating like I remember
No,
from
no.
years ago?
Oh no, we have wonderful foam seats with arms.
Nice
and-
wide
Oh,
Oh yeah,
seats.
yeah, yeah. You can't find a better seat in Northwest Indiana.
I think I remember telling both of you one of your last times we chatted was one of the real signature pieces that Beatniks was known to do during the holidays was the Ghost of Jacob Marley. Is
Oh,
that,
yeah.
is that it?
We did
a
that a
one-man
couple
play?
times. Yes.
Excellent show.
And always sold out, just a great run. And I remember going to see it there and just really a phenomenal piece. And it's a one-man play, correct? One-man piece, one-man
The
show?
Ghost of
Marley's is an ensemble.
That's an ensemble piece.
Yeah, that one's an ensemble.
Grant Fitch puts on a one-man show
The
of
Charles
Christmas
Dickens.
Carol.
That's
Yes,
right.
Yes.
And
That's-
you've had that there too?
Yes,
we
And
have.
you have as well.
We're in negotiations with Grant right now, see if we can fit in a performance.
Oh,
this
that
year.
would
Yeah,
be great.
yeah.
How did you folks fare? I don't even know I could even bring up the subject, but it's fascinating and it helps all of us learn together. During COVID and following it, and when there was all the protocol, being a smaller space was more difficult.
It was.
Because you didn't have the necessary spread out social distancing. Or it just meant you did smaller events, or no, it was pretty much on pause and mothballed until we came out of it.
When it came to be, we were already in a production, so we kind of
We
went ahead
completed
with
that.
that production because everybody was already prepared for it. We just did the masks and things like that, and obviously all the cleaning of everything all
Sure.
the time.
Yes.
And but then we had a little bit of a pause, but not much.
Not much, okay.
Yeah, we came back pretty fast. Some people asked, "Are you going to put up some kind of plastic
Shields and
covering?" And I'm
things,
like,
yeah, right.
"There's no way to do that here.
No.
It's not
No.
possible." So I guess it's come at your own risk.
Right,
At that
right.
point, it's-
Yeah, once they let us open,
Yeah.
then we went ahead and had to open
Right.
to survive. We're
Right.
not government
Right.
funded necessarily,
Sure.
and
I want to say, I think you were one of the first theaters to come back online.
I believe
Probably,
so.
probably.
Because you put on Arsenic and Old Lace in
Yes.
October of that
That's
year.
right.
So, yeah.
I remember a certain Dean Johanson having a role in that.
Yes.
Were you the Boris Karloff role?
He was.
He was.
That's
He
not
was.
a compliment, Dean.
It was an excellent. No, it was an excellent role
That
for
was
me.
a great
No,
show.
for anyone that's seen that, that's the running gag or bit in there, and that one of the murderers is said that he hates to know that everybody says, you look like Boris Karloff, which of course, if you know the great actor behind Frankenstein and so many other horror roles, that is not a compliment at all. Now, Luke is a Gavitt graduate, valedictorian for Gavitt High School when it was still around. So
Yeah,
you haven't
okay.
born and raised, ever been to Beatniks?
Well, no, I haven't. I'm a little
Uh-oh.
ashamed to say that. I know. Don't hold me to that. But no, I definitely did hear about it.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's
I always
legends,
heard-
iconic, really.
Exactly. I'm going to swing it back to rumors real quick, though. Also, when I was reading about and seeing the cast photos, that there's this elegant costuming and whatnot.
Oh, yes.
And the
It's
big,
a formal evening.
exactly, and the big pretense is coming in for the 10th anniversary.
Absolutely.
Wedding, right? But then you kind of juxtapose that with the chaos that's going on throughout this entire
Yep.
comedy. And so, did that speak to you as well when you were selecting this play?
Oh gosh, yes, for sure. The Rumors isn't as well known, I think, of a play as like Odd Couple or whatever. So that was kind of a draw too, just because it's Neil Simon, and people need to get out and see this show because it's
Something
really
a little
fabulous.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our set, we decided as directors that Myra and Charlie Brock are art collectors.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we solicited artists, local artists from all over the area here, and we have a set full of original local art. So there's another aspect of the
Yeah.
whole
Great
show.
draw.
Absolutely. If you're hearing everything we're talking about, it's the brand new run for Rumors. Simon's a classic Broadway, it won so many Tonys, including for actress Christine Baranski. She originated one of the roles and came away with a Tony for it. It's at our own Beatniks on Conkey. It's right around the corner here, 420 Conkey Street, of course, in Hammond. Box office 219-852-0848. It's Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So May 30th is when it's going to be the big opening. We are doing this broadcast and interview captured on May the 29th. So it's a rebroadcast. Plan accordingly. It goes all the way until Sunday, June the 8th. Those Sunday matinees are at 2 o'clock, otherwise for your Fridays and Saturdays at 7:30. And a very affordable ticket price. The tickets are...
$20, and we also include snacks and refreshments at intermission.
And the key to this, it's better, of course, always get your tickets in advance. If you are there and you're going to show up at the door, it's, I believe, cash only?
Cash
Cash
only,
Cash only at the door.
yeah.
So come prepared and stop at Walgreens and get your cash up with you. Check out, get your extra money to bring so you can pay for your tickets.
That's right.
Dean, I'm curious. I'm going to give you one of these tough Larry King, Joe Rivers questions, and the directors are right here. Which has been the most challenging scene so far, and why?
Well, my character has a 2.5-page monologue at the end.
Yes.
So trying to memorize all of the words and the lines and then fitting the blocking in was quite the challenge because I'm moving around a lot during that particular scene. So by the end, Lenny is exhausted from telling the story. I'm not acting.
That's true to form, huh?
Yeah.
Well, and looking at the publicity photos, which were great, and they came out in advance, so these folks, after 18 years, they've learned a thing or two how to get advanced promotion. They shoot their photos early. They send out their press alerts early, which we in the newsrooms certainly always do appreciate, be it my Hammond Times days or Northwest Indiana Times days, or today with my affiliation with the Post-Tribune. Looking through some of the promotional photos, I think I recognize this, Jen. One of my other interns, Dylan Root, is amongst your cast, and he was at the
Yes.
Performing Arts Center for a number of years, and he was one of my students at Purdue. So he's there opposite his girlfriend, I believe.
Yes.
Is her name Kelly?
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
And
they're
so-
a wonderful addition to Beatniks.
Yeah.
It's our first
We'll see if
time
we
with
can
them.
get Joey to put up that publicity photo. If you scroll through some of those promo photos, it's them talking to each other, and Dylan has on horn-rimmed glasses and a ponytail. We'll see him on the screen here. They are true talents, but how fun to have a real-life couple being a part of their role. There they
Yeah.
Isn't that them right there
Perfect.
front and
That's
center?
it.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
And let me say that set looks so vast and enormous, but
It
I know the
is.
Beatnik space.
It's
So,
very wide.
It's amazing.
It's not deep. We're very wide.
What you're able to do. But again, it's an elegant, beautiful space. Do you have much storage for your costumes, prop pieces, somewhere else, offsite or somewhere? Or no, you do tend to borrow sometimes, or your other theater stage neighbors might say, you know what, we have this or we have that, you can have it on loan.
Phil, you would not believe what my basement looks like.
Warner Brothers Studio.
Or our barn, or...
Yes.
Yeah. The
that's
occasional
key.
piece comes from elsewhere, but
Yes.
mostly we get our own stuff.
Yeah.
Costume-wise, the green rooms double as a costume storage
Yes.
above the actors' heads up at the ceiling.
But for this particular show, Amy Bannister did help to provide
She's been wonderful.
the tuxes
Okay.
and such. And
Yeah.
she got those from Wheeler, I think, theater.
Sure.
A theater
Yeah.
out in Wheeler, so.
And again, of course, the invitation's always there for ourselves at the Performing Arts Center, Theater Center. If there's something you're on the hunt for, you need, we have a vast wardrobe archive and props and set pieces, and always happy to help too.
Yeah.
We needed some help when we brought in a one-woman show about the Titanic and one of the survivors. And sometimes, isn't it always the strangest thing that you have to start calling around about? We needed old-fashioned a life preserver. And I thought we had some that would be, ours were not turn of the centuries, but ours were certainly from the 1960s and could probably have sufficed. The ones that went around, they were kind of ugly orange looking
Cloth.
or just a drab kind of with the belts. And I couldn't find them in our attic anywhere. We went to our friends at the Toll Theater. They had done a similar Titanic, I think maybe the musical, a few seasons ago, and they said, we had to make our own, but we do have a couple. We'll let you borrow them. So the theater
That's
community
awesome.
here in
Yeah.
Northwest Indiana, wouldn't you agree, are very helpful.
Oh,
and-
gosh,
Absolutely.
yes. Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
for the man who came to dinner that Dean was also in. We had to borrow a...
From Marion Theater, a chair or two.
What do you call that thing?
Oh, the sarcophagus.
Yeah.
From,
Oh, for the mummy.
from
Yes,
Angie Lowe,
yes,
thing.
from Angie Lowe, so...
That and now from forever on, I will always think of the man that came to dinner, Noel Coward, right?
Yes.
Yes,
It's sort of a bittersweet production because Luke, this was the one that our friend Steve Zana
Yes.
was the
Yes.
star in. You know,
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
and,
What a
and Kelly
sad-
from their art exhibit, and Dean stepped in at the last minute and
Yes,
took
he
on
did.
that role. Correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but Steve's memory lives on forever. His heart was always in theater, and Colleen continues to be
Yes,
that artistic
wonderful
advocate
people.
for all of us, which we
Yeah.
certainly do appreciate.
Yes.
Any last minute nods of anything coming in the future? Because I think I hear a telephone ringing, but no, he's thinking on it. Any other last things to tease or promote? Anything?
Well, there's a couple of shows coming up next, after this production, we have a children's show called The Enchanted Bookshop that's
Oh,
going to be in
that's nice.
July. I don't have the exact dates, but that's in July for one weekend.
Check the website.
And then also we have auditions and the show, obviously, The Haunting of Hill House, that will be in October. So that's a really good show, too.
great Halloween classic.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yes.
And so key and so important to continue to foster these young audiences because they're going to be our adult audiences as well. So we need to
Yes.
keep them
Absolutely.
active.
Oh, there's the phone. I hear it.
Joey, you get an E for effort. Everybody that's in the studio, what's the problem with that ringing? This phone would never
That
make
would never
that
sound like
sound.
that.
But that's all right because I'm going to give you a quick, fun moment. Joey, do you know who Dylan Root is from Purdue?
I do not.
You don't? He was in the theater program, and so I'm not telling tales out of school. He would sometimes share my marketing office at the big performing arts, and there's a second desk that Luke sits at as well. And I asked him to call some people back, some patrons, but I said, don't use your cell phone. Use the desk phone so that when it goes out, they'll see that number on the caller ID. You don't want them to have your personal number and call you later at night. And so I gave him the phone number, and I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm not hearing him make the call. And usually he's pretty quick about doing things. And so I said, Dylan, did you forget you have to hit a 9 to get your outside line and then dial the rest of the number? And he said, no, I did that. I know that. But after you do that, where do you hit send? He kept no, there's no send. It's just going to dial it. It's going to ring it right there. But
Yeah.
he said he had never seen a tethered phone. And it wasn't a rotary. We're not that antiquated at the Performing Arts Center. But he's like, well, my grandma has got a phone like that, a landline, but it's a handset. You just carry around with you, and it's not one that was built in like a desk phone. So that's my
Yep,
known. So.
yep.
Rumors is set in 1990.
Yes.
1990.
1990.
Okay.
So it was a pretty modern.
Yeah, so you would maybe hear that kind of a ring with the
You
phone
might.
as well.
That might have
Yeah.
been
To
appropriate.
be
Yeah.
fair,
Uh,
on the screen, the phone is the exact same.
It
on
looks
the video
like
that I'm
this,
playing. Yeah.
but it did a digital
didn't
ring.
do it.
That's all right. It fooled you. It fooled you. That's all right. Greg, well, thank you so much for coming. Make sure you come back anytime you've got things to promote. Dean is always good about giving a nudge. I'm so glad we were able to push it from the very, very beginning of the run.
Yes.
So you've got these couple weekends to get out there. You will not be disappointed. Neil Simon's Rumors, Beatniks on Conkey. These folks at Johnson's always do it right when they roll out the red carpet for all of their patrons. And most of all, thank you for being here to chat, as well as
Thank
Dean
you
for
for having
returning
us,
to
Phil.
us as well.
Thank you.
To Luke Miller, our co-host, and to all of you, our listeners and our viewers, for being a part of today's broadcast. I'm your host, Phil Potempa. We wish you well wherever your path may take you, be it morning, afternoon, or evening.